Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me what you got going on, bro. Where you at and what are you trying to do now?
Okay, yeah. So I came across your channel about a couple of weeks back on Ryan Clogg's interview. At that point and at this current point, we'll be doing lead gen for home service companies. We do it very inefficiently. We do it with loads of like just small kind of home service companies. For example, a little HVAC company in Springfield. Just small clients, right? And it's a hassle because it's not scalable because they can't, they've got a capacity, they've got a limited capacity. It is scalable by we can get more buyers, but managing the buyers, big hassle, and also making sure they pay, making sure the whole sales funnel is dialed in. Like a lot of these guys will be some like random guys, not like tech savvy, who'll be like, yeah, sure, give me some leads, yeah, yeah. And like it's just really inefficient. So anyway, I came across pay per call before we were just sending them a lead. So someone would show interest, we just send them a screenshot, here's the number, address, blah, blah, blah. So moving on to pay per call now because it's way more measurable, easier. And I'm thinking of, correct me if this is the wrong approach. We've been slowly moving to this. Moving on to fewer buyers, but buyers who can buy at way bigger scale. So like a network, like one of these pay-per-call networks or one of these, big franchises. That's our thing we've been trying to do now is move over to less buyers, but buyers which can buy way more calls so we can actually scale.
100%. Yeah, so let's actually talk about the pros and cons of both.
Yeah,
So the reality is there are pros and there are cons of both.
yeah, yeah,
And when you work with one, let's say the smaller clients, every day you're going to feel the pain of working with these smaller clients. The lack of communication that they have, the lack of sales agents that they have, the lack of sales processes they have, the lack of cash that they have, the lack of tech that they have a lack of just understanding when you're trying to communicate what you need them to do that they are not doing. Those are serious issues and they're fucking annoying as shit.
I
However,
know.
let's talk about some of the cons that come with working with a big buyer. Big buyers have established sales processes that no matter how you generate the leads, they are going to work those leads with the same exact sales process as they work with every other lead source. So if your leads are not dialed in to match their sales processes, the leads will not back out properly. And they're
Yeah,
not willing to change their scripts and change their sales processes to match your marketing lead flow, which is difficult if you try to do something slightly outside of the box that can still yield incredible results, but it's just a little bit different and it's misaligned. The marketing will be misaligned. Like, perfect example, right? If you're like, oh, we found out with solar, we noticed if we run an angle that says solar for veterans, and we're getting these people who are really interested in, and they're all veterans, and then people are calling in, they say, is this solar for veterans? And the buyer that picks up the phone doesn't understand that you're running solar for veterans to say, no, this is Sunrun. And the guy's like, oh, okay, I guess this is the wrong number, and hang up the phone. You just had a fire lead on the phone that's super interested in getting a solar quote. And
hmm,
this buyer hung up the phone on him because the marketing was not aligned with the sales process, which is very
yeah,
easy to do when you have a smaller buyer, right? Because you're like, yo, here's the script. We built this for you as a sales team. We want you to use this script. This is what the marketing looks like. Make sure it works. And they're like, all right,
hmm,
listen to calls, and then you can tell when they're fumbling on the script or whatever. But when you're doing that with a large sales org, they're the ones, they're like, this is how we do it. This is what we've come to find works. And that's fair because it does work and they're, 10-figure plus companies. So obviously what they're doing works. However, you don't
yeah,
have a lot of flexibility and malleability within their sales process, which can lead to headaches. The other thing,
yeah.
these big buyers do not play when it comes to terms, especially home services. So home services, almost every direct buyer that I know, and even a lot of the networks run on monthly net 30. And so payment terms are very difficult to swing. Whereas smaller clients, you can collect prepay. You maybe send them a
Hmm,
list or a test of like 5 to 10 leads, if you want. If they
hmm,
prefer even one of those, they're gonna be like, oh my God, yeah, I could probably do a lot more. Then you just charge them prepay, which is what we do with our smaller clients for Policy Printer. Because the big buyers will come to me and say, yeah, we can buy 10, 20, $30,000 a day worth of your traffic. However, we're not going to pay you until a monthly net 30, which is 60 days from the start of the campaign.
hmm.
So that's very difficult to leverage when you're doing $10,000 a day, 20 working days a month. That's 200 bands that they're going to owe you, and they're
Hmm,
not going to pay you for another month, bro. For the first month, that's the month. Now you got net
hmm.
30, which is another 30 days. So you run 200 bands up. Then you got another 200 bands in because you're not just going to stop the traffic, right? Traffic going. So now you're 400 bands deep in before you get paid that $200,000, right? And then you
Mm.
just keep this consistent negative cash flow with these companies, which is great because technically you're making money. However, cash in your bank account is very different from cash in your retriever account. You feel me? Like your
Yeah,
stats. Like you look at it for
yeah,
the, oh my God, we made $10,000. But then you look at your bank app and you go, well, actually, this is pretty tough. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
cash flow can be a killer. It really can, especially with a lot of the publishers. If you're planning on running it as a brokerage, you can always push those terms onto your publishers. Like, yo, landed
Hmm.
this buyer. They're really awesome. It's Sunrun. You know they're going to pay their bills. It's fucking Sunrun. Just keep the traffic clean and we'll run the calls into them or the leads into them, whatever you set up. They'll pay us on a monthly net 30 and this is just how it goes. And in home services, everybody knows that's just the game. Insurance, everybody's trying to fight for, better terms. Everyone's trying to fight for weekly net 1, weekly net 7 as a publisher. In home services, people pretty much just know like windows, roofing, solar, it's all monthly net. And for good reason too, because with solar, these solar sales teams, they don't get paid until glass is on the roof. And usually that takes a minimum of a month to do. You send in a lead, let's say best case scenario, that first day, they're getting a proposal sent out by either that day or the next day. If they're good, they're going to have that policy sold, right? They're like, okay, yeah, panels going up on the roof on, it looks like we can do the proposal team came back, 17 days from now, we can, get panels starting to install on the roof. It takes, I think, like a week. So then it takes another week. So now you're about a month in and now they finally got paid. And for solar, it's extremely expensive for the lead gen, right? Like each lead costs $65 to $150 a posted lead, depending on how many qualifiers are on there, and the quality of it. Google, Facebook, where's it coming from? So it's just an expensive game. So like compared to Medicare, where like they can buy an inbound call for $15 on a 20-second and just rip that shit and do thousands a day. You know what I mean? It's just a very different game. And final expense, life insurance, they get paid literally next day. So it's like such an easier way to collect upfront payment. And that's why we focus on insurances, is because one, I don't like fighting the cash flow battle, right? Two, I've moved a policy printer as my focus because I've realized that against what most people think, and a lot of people actually come into this game in pay per call wanting to build, is enterprise value. But the reality is when you have a network, you have no enterprise value. And the reason why is because if that buyer falls off, if the publishers stop sending calls, you have literally nothing of value. So it's completely reliant on everyone else outside of your company. And that is why there is no enterprise value in a pay-per-call network. There is sometimes enterprise value in a pay-per-call network if it is a strategic acquisition from another competing company or a client that you have that you are serving. They may be interested in buying you. However, both of those situations, as much as they can happen, so me saying there's no enterprise value is not necessarily accurate. However, from my experience, and this could be wrong, is most people that get their companies bought, their performance networks bought, they are purchased along with that. So it's not like they just sell their company, they made 10 M's and they dip. No, they sold for 10 M's and then now they got to stick with the company for God knows how long and they got to keep leading the charge. So it's like really all you did is, yes, you sold your company, but you just really gave yourself a new boss. That's all you did. Like, and you put some cash in your pocket now, but like a lot of times with strategic exits, like there's a 2-year buyout or whatever that's called. Like basically you have to perform at XYZ. And if you don't, then that is no longer even the deal anymore. And now you just don't get paid. And you're like, I just worked for this guy for 2 years just to not hit metrics and then not be paid. Like that's fucking crazy. Right. So anyway, the point is there's a lot of pros and cons that come with this. And that is why I created Policy Printer, is because I have retarded enterprise value with Policy Printer because all I'm doing is onboarding direct agents. And like it's very different from home services, right? Because most home service companies aren't going to look at you as a lead distribution software and be like, oh, I want all the companies that he's selling the leads to. No, but a carrier for insurance or a sales agency for insurance could look at Policy Printer and see it's a lead generation site plus a dialer. And all I have on there is 1,000 fucking licensed agents. They could look at me and go, oh, fuck, I want those agents. And so they're going to.
Yeah. I mean, the only like thing I've seen like this in home services have enterprise value is something like Angie's List. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole software, right? It's a completely
Yeah, the
different.
software, yeah, you've productized it, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro, exactly. So that, which is an opportunity for sure, but and like you could
Yeah.
always think, because a lot of people fucking hate Angie's List, bro. A lot of the people
Oh,
that
they hate it. They hate it.
hate it, bro, but they need
Yeah.
some.
All of them complain to me.
Because I feel like what I did is I just kind of trauma dumped on you. But let me give you some direction now. You make your decision. So you have two options. You can go for the smaller clients. You can go for the bigger clients. First question is your traffic quality truly dialed? The leads that you're generating, is that shit fire?
Yeah, so the leads are very good. Now, we're not like the usual, lead gen. We don't do ads. We want to do, well, we do a couple of ads, for a couple of people. But our main way of getting leads right now for home services, and it's just like free leads basically, is SMS, direct mail, and we also have a call team as well. Pretty much free leads with home services. We contact 100 homeowners, 2 people want to quote. We're only doing that because it works the best, but I know it's not the most reputable way of getting these leads. I know these guys want ads probably, so we do ads for a couple of people. And if ads are the best way to go, we're fine with going in ads. I used to have ad agency in the past, so I kind of know the game. But we're only doing mainly SMS and calling. thing because it just works. The lead quality is amazing as well. Most of them will convert. It's got like a very, very high conversion rate.
So if you go to Sunrun and you tell them, hey, this is how we're generating leads, they're going to tell you to get fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not.
If you go to Momentum Solar, they're going to tell you to get fucked. If you go to AFG, they're going to tell you to get fucked. And the reason why is because compliance, as you were saying, it's not the most reputable.
Hmm.
They're not going to touch you with a 10-foot pole, especially because you're not based in the States. If you were based in the States, you could show them a consumer journey. This is how we're getting, we're generating everything internally, we're generating the leads internally, and then we're outbound messaging them real time. That's maybe acceptable. But if you're fucking SMS blasting, not a chance.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they've worked with so many people and they know the quality is great. However, the quality is not great if a TCPA litigator comes in and sues them for $1 million. You know what I mean? It's not, that's no longer great quality, right? They may have gotten a
Yeah.
lot of sales on roofs, but they just lost $1 million to a lawsuit.